I think Kobe Bryant is ruining the Lakers. I think he's been ruining the Lakers for about almost 10 years, since that contract extension, going back 8 years already. I think he is essentially running the franchise. He doesn't mean to ruin the Lakers, but I think that's what's happening. Let's go back to his contract extension. Everyone points to the Chris Paul deal being scuttled as the downfall of the Lakers. Let us not forget, Kobe Bryant was already on the downside before the Achilles injury. He was no longer the best player in the league or one of the 2 or 3 best players in the league. Then his Achilles goes, and before he ever is seen on the court again, Jeanie Buss gives him a 2-year extension. Anyone who knows anything about basketball is going, you're out of the Kobe deal. Now, by the way, there's not this dark cloud over the franchise because he's too rough on the younger players or he needs the ball too much or he takes up too much of the salary cap. You're done. Here's the oh, wait, what? You extended Kobe Bryant at $25 million? You don't even know how he's going to play. And it turns out, not very well anymore. He had that 60-point game, last game of his career, but he was not a great player for the Lakers when he came back. In fact, he was a bad player. Took a lot of shots, was very inefficient, couldn't play defense because he was old and he was coming off an Achilles, right? How did he get that extension? How did Kobe get that extension? He happens to be close with Jeanie Buss. In fact, when Jeanie fired Jim, she had to lean on people close to her. Well, Kobe Bryant was one of those people. Then all of a sudden, Rob Pelinka gets installed as the GM of the Lakers. Pelinka is a seller. He's not a buyer. He's an agent. He's not a GM. And Magic Johnson, as Stephen A. points out, is inexperienced. What's Pelinka doing there? Also inexperienced. And then when Magic wants to get rid of him, he can't? What is the power backing Pelinka? What's the power backing Pelinka? Why did Kobe get the $50 million extension? Kobe Bryant still has enormous influence on the Lakers. And despite intentions, it has been a destructive force in recent years.
I fear we're about to lose Jalen. Go ahead.
Yeah, so a couple of things.
Chomping at the bit.
So is Dirk the reason why the Mavs aren't good?
No, they took enormous pay cuts.
They made sure that he got a chance to retire. My point is they made sure that he got a chance to retire with them.
Yeah, but at $10 million when he was no good anymore.
The point is, when you have an iconic player, you take care of them.
No,
just like your Giants are doing right now with Eli.
Right, and they both stink because of it.
You don't just throw them out the pasture.
I would have. I said bye. Go retire with the Clippers.
Would the Lakers have made the playoffs if LeBron hadn't gotten injured?
Probably.
Okay, you can't say that Magic and/or Rob aren't doing a good job when they landed the #1 free agent in LeBron James, who you told me was the equivalent of 2 great players. You said he equaled Steph and KD. They brought him to LA.
Magic and Pelinka did that, or Magic did that?
I think they did that.
I think Magic did that.
See, you can't do that. We can't give one guy the credit and another guy the blame for the same action. That's just not.
But then Magic wanted to get rid of him, and he couldn't.
Allegedly. This is Jeanie Buss's team, not Kobe Bryant's team. Okay? We've seen her change her brother. We've seen Magic step down. He didn't tell her he was stepping down. And the fact that you say that he's a seller, not a buyer, Arn Tellon got hired by the Pistons as a former agent to help move the team to Detroit. He succeeded. Bob Myers got hired by the Warriors as a GM to help turn their team around. They're champions. They're running a dynasty. So the idea that an agent can't do it, that is laughable.
How many playoff games have the Lakers won since Kobe Bryant got his extension?
Zero.
We're going on almost a decade.
Here's where I don't know that I understand what you're saying, and maybe it makes sense, and I love the fact that your mind works the way that it does. But what I will say at minimum is that what this is an example of.
They were born on the same day in the same neighborhood.
We do. We grew up about 5 blocks apart, and our birthday is the same day.
That's correct.
How about that?
Where stars are born.
Here's what I will say, Stephen A. The Lakers are awash in dysfunction, and there's only one person who can solve the problem. And I understand that it is probably the hardest thing in the world to do, to be in the middle of all of these people who are so beloved. You're talking about icons. She's in the middle of, on some level, Kobe Bryant, Magic Johnson, and LeBron James. You're talking about 3 of the top 10 stars in the history of the NBA. She has to figure out a way to negotiate all of that, and they all have their own individual agendas, whatever they are. But at the end of the day, that's the job. The job is to say, this is my vision. I'm going to go find someone who can execute it, and I'm going to step out of the way and let that person do it. And for the life of me, how she decided that person is Rob Pelinka, I do not understand.
I don't find it to be difficult at all. I've always had a problem with people who are in positions of authority that have a problem wielding that authority. Everybody knows you're the boss. What the hell is the problem? I don't think a boss should be so insecure that they're scared of what a subordinate is going to feel like, particularly when you're paying that boss, that subordinate, millions upon millions of dollars. I refuse to address Max's point about Kobe Bryant. I'm not wasting my time with it because I've tried to tell him that on numerous occasions. When you had Jim Buss there, you gave Kobe the money because you didn't have anything else to get, because it was such a dysfunctional environment that Kobe was all you had to sell, and you wasn't going to get anybody. So they said,
all
rationalization. Excuse me, we heard you. We heard you. I shut up. I didn't say a word. I sat here. I ain't said nothing. The fact is that when it comes to Kobe Bryant, the reality is that you had to give him the money because you had nothing to sell, because Jeanie and Jim were so dysfunctional as an organization that nobody wanted to come, so we got to have something to sell to Staples Center. That's the only reason Kobe got the money, so it paid for itself. By the way, Mike Brown was the coach after that. Mike D'Antoni was the coach after that. Those wasn't Kobe Sanos. You hired them, Jeanie Buss, so what's the problem now? Secondly, Magic Johnson. Yeah, you're tight with him. You asked him to come on to be president of basketball operations. Then let him run the show and whatever he wants to do. You specifically said, Jeanie Buss, Magic controls basketball operations. I have nothing to do with it. I run the business side. I will go with any decision that he wants to make. And then suddenly we're hearing that was not the case. Rob Pelinka, personally speaking, I like Rob. I don't have any problems with Rob. I think Rob was an outstanding agent. I do think it's difficult to make the transition from an agent to an executive. But nevertheless, what he was supposed to do was do the legwork. And Magic Johnson was supposed to be the overseer that came in and made decisions. Clearly, there was some disruption there, and that's on Jeanie Buss as well. So what it comes down to is that if you're Jeanie Buss, here's what you have to do. You have to prioritize winning, not getting along with people and making them feel good.